What if the biggest disappointment in your family was secretly worth over $4 billion? Imagine walking into your parents' luxurious anniversary dinner wearing the same cheap clothes they've mocked for years, while an advance copy of Forbes magazine with your face on the cover is sitting in the butler's hands, just hours away from destroying every cruel word they ever said about you. That's exactly what happened to me. Before we dive deep into this story of sweet, sweet karma, make sure to subscribe to the channel, hit that like button, and comment your name and where you're watching from right now. Let's see how many of you are here for the ultimate family glow-up. My name is Kristen Adams. I'm 36 years old, and for most of my life, I was the family disappointment. Behind my ordinary face, thrift store clothes, and quiet demeanor was a secret that would have made my judgmental relatives choke on their $1,000 bottles of wine. But tonight, at my parents' sprawling estate in Westchester County, New York, none of them had any idea what was coming. Let me take you back to the beginning. I grew up in a massive colonial home with 6 bedrooms, a private tennis court, and parents who measured love and worth by one thing only: success on their terms. My father, Robert Adams, built a powerful investment firm from nothing. My mother, Eleanor, came from old Manhattan money. Together, they had a very clear plan for their daughters. My older sister by 3 years, she followed that plan like it was scripture. I called her Diana. Diana was everything they wanted: valedictorian at the elite Westfield Academy, summa cum laude at Yale, then Harvard Law. She married Bradford Whitney. Yes, those Whitneys, whose family basically owned half of Boston's commercial real estate. Diana became the golden child, and she never, ever let me forget it. I was different from the start. While Diana practiced piano and dominated lacrosse, I was in my bedroom at age 12, surrounded by circuit boards, old computers, and half-built machines. My room looked like a Radio Shack had exploded. My parents tolerated it, barely. "Computers are for the IT department, Kristen," my father would say, waving his hand dismissively. "Adams women lead organizations. They don't hide behind screens." Still, I kept my grades perfect, so they let me continue. For a while. I actually got into Yale on my own merit. My parents breathed this sigh of relief. Finally, she's coming around. But halfway through my junior year, everything changed. I discovered a major security flaw in the university's network, one that could have exposed the personal data of thousands of students. I reported it, helped fix it, and in that moment, I realized my true calling. I dropped out the next semester to start my own company. The family reaction was nuclear. My mother cried for days. My father threatened to cut me off financially, convinced it would force me back to school. When I refused to budge, he actually did it. Diana looked me dead in the eyes and said, cold as ice, "You will regret this for the rest of your life. Some people just aren't cut out for real success." With only $5,000 in savings and a prototype security algorithm I'd built in my dorm room, I moved into a tiny studio apartment in Seattle. Those first years were brutal. 18-hour days, ramen noodles every night. 6 months in, my savings were gone. I swallowed my pride and applied for food assistance. The very same week I used food stamps for the first time, Diana called. "How's that little computer project going?" she asked sweetly, then spent 20 minutes bragging about her promotion to junior partner. She somehow found out about the food stamps, and she made sure to bring it up at Thanksgiving dinner that year, passing me the mashed potatoes with a smile. "At least you're getting free food somewhere since you can't afford to contribute to holiday meals anymore." The table went quiet. No one defended me. What they didn't know was that my little computer project was something revolutionary. I had built an AI-driven security system that could predict and prevent cyber attacks with 97% accuracy, light years ahead of anything on the market. But investors didn't want to bet on a young female college dropout with no connections. After that humiliating Thanksgiving, I made 2 promises to myself. One, I would succeed without a single dime or connection from my family. 2, when I finally made it, I would remain completely anonymous as the founder and CEO. It took another 8
brutal months of near poverty before someone finally believed in me. Her name was Catherine Mitchell, a veteran tech investor who actually understood the technology. She wrote the first check, $500,000. That money kept us alive long enough to land our very first client, a regional bank terrified of rising cyber threats. From there, the company, Secure Vision, started to grow. But I kept my identity hidden. On paper, I was just Kristen Adams, Product Development Director. We invented a fictional CEO named Kay Adams, who never appeared in public. All communication happened through written statements or voice-only calls, where I used a slight vocal disguise. No photos, no interviews, no public appearances. Meanwhile, back home, my parents still believed I was failing. I deliberately lived below my means, modest house in a middle-class Seattle neighborhood, reliable but boring car, the same practical clothes. Every rare visit, I played the part of the struggling daughter perfectly. Diana, now with 2 kids in private school and a summer home in the Hamptons, never missed a chance to remind me of the difference in our lives. My parents' disappointment became quieter over the years, but it was still there, in the subtle questions about my retirement plans, the polite offers of help that were really just reminders that I had failed. For 10 long years, I let them believe it. Then, last month, everything changed. Forbes approached Secure Vision about a major feature story. After a decade of explosive growth and a company now valued at $11 billion, the board felt it was finally time to reveal the mysterious founder. I agreed. The story would drop tomorrow morning, coinciding with the launch of our revolutionary new personal cybersecurity product. The interview was intense. Professional photos in our Seattle headquarters. I spoke openly about the journey, the technology, and why I had stayed hidden for so long. In tech, especially as a woman, being underestimated can be your greatest advantage, I told them. It lets the work speak for itself. The headline they chose? Meet Tech's most secretive billionaire CEO. My estimated net worth? $4.2 billion. And tonight was my parents' 40th wedding anniversary dinner. My publicist called while I was getting dressed. Kristen, the Forbes issue is being distributed early. Some physical copies are already landing in subscribers' homes today. My heart slammed against my ribs. Westchester County deliveries were still scheduled for tomorrow morning, but the digital version would go live at midnight. I checked my watch. 6:30 p.m. Dinner started at 7. I could still leave before anyone saw it, but a darker, deeper part of me, the part that had endured 15 years of condescension, wanted to be in the room when the truth hit them like a freight train. I chose the outfit carefully. Simple black blouse, dark jeans, comfortable flats, minimal makeup, hair in a practical ponytail. I looked exactly like the Kristen they expected to see, the modest, unassuming disappointment who never quite measured up. Perfect. The drive to the estate brought back a flood of memories. Learning to ride a bike on that long driveway, feeling awkward at their fancy summer parties. The day I loaded my car for Seattle while my father watched from the steps with disapproval etched on his face. The house was lit up like a movie set. White columns, perfect hedges, luxury cars already parked out front. I pulled my 5-year-old Toyota behind my uncle's Jaguar. The contrast was almost funny. James, the longtime butler who had always shown me genuine kindness, opened the door. Miss Kristen, welcome home. There was something in his eyes tonight, a quiet knowing, but that was impossible, right? I handed him the expensive bottle of wine I brought and stepped inside. Voices and classical music floated from the living room. Diana's sharp, controlled laugh, my mother's measured tones, my father's commanding baritone. I paused in the doorway, taking in the scene. Everyone turned when my cousin Melissa spotted me. "Kristen, you made it!" The energy in the room shifted instantly. My mother's smile tightened, my father's shoulders stiffened, Diana's eyes swept over my outfit with that familiar smirk. The subtle dig started immediately. "Little sister," Diana said, hugging me stiffly, "that top is holding up well. Wasn't that what you wore to Christmas 2 years ago?" And so it began. For the next 30 minutes, the conversation revolved around everyone else's accomplishments. New yachts, Princeton acceptances, big legal wins, expanding real estate portfolios. When they asked about me, I gave the usual vague answers. Each evasion only confirmed what they already believed. Kristen is still struggling. As we moved to the formal dining room, I sat at the far end of the table, the designated spot for the family disappointment. The toasts came. My father raised his glass to my mother and their perfect marriage. My mother added a toast to our wonderful children, Diana leading her department while raising 2 beautiful children, and Kristen, who has always forged her own path. The pause before "forged her own path" said everything. Then the questions started. "So, Kristen," Bradford called across the table, "Diana tells me you're still with that small tech company. What exactly do you do there?" "Security software development," I answered simply. My father frowned. "Is there much future in that role? At your age, you should be thinking about advancement." Diana chimed in sweetly, "Not everyone is cut out for leadership." I smiled and nodded, thinking about the 300 developers who reported to me and the board that followed my vision. The condescension kept coming. Then Diana brought up the past again. "Remember those lean times, Kristen? Weren't you on food stamps at one point?" The table went dead silent. Even in this family, that was crossing a line. But Diana pushed further. "I'm just concerned about your future. Have you started saving for retirement? Do you even have health insurance? If things are still that tight, Bradford knows companies that need administrative staff." The room was thick with discomfort. I sat there calmly, letting her finish, because I knew what was coming. Just as dessert was being served, an elaborate chocolate creation with gold leaf, James appeared in the doorway with unusual formality. "Excuse the interruption. A special delivery has arrived for Miss Kristen." All eyes turned. A staff member walked in carrying a magazine, cover facing away from the table. "The courier insisted it be delivered immediately," James said. As the magazine turned, the Forbes cover became visible to the entire table. My professional headshot stared back at them, bold headline screaming, "Meet Tech's most secretive billionaire CEO." The silence was absolute. You could hear a pin drop. My father froze mid-sip, wine glass still raised, face turning pale. My mother's mouth fell open. Diana went ghost white. Her eyes darted frantically between the magazine and my face, searching for any sign this was a joke. Bradford looked like someone had just rewritten his entire understanding of the world. Uncle Harold was the first to speak, letting out a startled laugh. "Good God, is that real?" I accepted the magazine with steady hands and placed it gently on the table so everyone could see it clearly. "It appears the publication date was moved up," I said calmly. "This was supposed to hit newsstands tomorrow morning." Then I looked around the table at their stunned faces and said the words I had waited 15 years to say. "I am the founder and CEO of Secure Vision, have been since the very beginning. The mysterious K. Adams that everyone in tech has been trying to identify for years. That's me. Kristen Elizabeth Adams." The table erupted into chaos. My father's voice cracked. "Kristen, what exactly is going on here?" I took a deep breath and finally told them everything. How I built secure vision from nothing, how I stayed anonymous so the technology would be judged on merit, not my gender or lack of connections, how their constant judgment and lack of belief made me decide to let them keep their assumptions. Diana found her voice first, accusation dripping from every word. "You deliberately misled us." "No," I replied quietly. "I simply chose not to correct your assumptions. Assumptions you were all too eager to make based on my clothes, my car, and the fact that I didn't follow your perfect path." The brutal truth landed hard. I looked directly at my sister. Every holiday, every phone call, every gathering, you reminded me how I had failed, how I would never measure up to you. After a while, it became a fascinating social experiment. How would this family treat me if they never knew about my success? The questions poured out. Why hide it? How much is the company worth? Why didn't you tell us? I answered every one. And then I asked the question that had haunted me for years. Would any of you have supported me when I was sleeping on a mattress on the office floor? When I was living on ramen and facing rejection after rejection? Or would you have told me to quit and come home? Their silence was louder than any answer. For the first time in my adult life, the entire family was listening to me, really listening, without waiting for their turn to brag. Uncle Harold laughed again, genuinely delighted. Our Kristen, a tech mogul in disguise. But Diana stayed quiet, her face a storm of shock, embarrassment, and something that looked a lot like pain. The sister who had defined herself by being better than me now had to face a new reality. As the evening wound down, the pivots began. Suddenly, they wanted to help with publicity. Suddenly, Diana remembered how she had always supported my technical mind. Suddenly, I was invited to Sunday brunch and asked to speak at my niece and nephew's school. I stayed calm through all of it, because the truth was simple. Nothing about me had changed that night. The only thing that changed was their perception of my value. 3 months later, I sat in my conference room overlooking the Seattle skyline, finalizing the launch of the Secure Vision Foundation, $200 million of my own money dedicated to helping underrepresented tech entrepreneurs who face the same obstacles I once did. No family strings attached, just real support. My relationship with my family is evolving. My father has learned to respect my boundaries. My mother is slowly learning to ask real questions about my work. Diana and I are rebuilding, slowly, carefully, with clearer boundaries than before. But the most important lesson I learned from this journey isn't about money or revenge. It's that you don't need your family's approval to become who you're meant to be. Sometimes the sweetest success isn't just proving everyone wrong, it's proving to yourself that you were right all along, and then using that success to lift others up. Have you ever been underestimated by the people closest to you? Have you ever had that moment when your true value was finally seen? Or maybe you've been on the other side, realizing too late that you misjudged someone important. Share your story in the comments below. I read every single one. If this story of quiet persistence and ultimate karma moved you, please like the video, subscribe for more real-life stories that feel like movies, and share it with someone who needs to hear that other people's opinions don't define your worth. The best revenge isn't just massive success, it's massive success built on your own authentic terms. Thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next story. Until then, keep building in silence. The world will hear you when it's time.